standing for this and that we are using our voices and we are speaking up against this.
Everybody that protested Vietnam is here today, I swear.
Thousands of protests across the country and several across the Portland metro, all unified under one message: no kings. Thanks so much for joining us here at 11. I'm John Adams. Tens of thousands of protesters made their voices heard across the Portland metro and beyond as part of the nationwide No Kings rallies. The largest here in our area was, of course, in Portland, but police in Eugene say there was up to 4,000 people participating in a march there. We are also aware of demonstrations that were held in Clackamas, Tigard, Lake Oswego, and Vancouver. Our Jake Holter was among the Portland crowd earlier this afternoon.
We heard from everyone from faith leaders to drag queens at this No Kings rally before protesters took to the streets in the thousands. And those Portlanders tell me that this rally feels different with the threat of the National Guard presence looming.
We believe in kindness and love.
The fact that everyone's here today really means a lot of who we are as Portland.
Showing up matters.
Protesters flooded the streets in costumes and inflatables, holding signs and playing instruments to protest against the Trump administration.
False narratives being told, and Oregonians have picked up the right way to respond with nonviolent direct action.
Reverend Dr. Mark Knutson making reference to recent characterizations of Portland as, quote, war-ravaged amid protests at the ICE facility in response to recent ICE raids and the threat of National Guard deployment.
We declared ourselves a sanctuary church when I first got back 30 years ago. We've held ICE out because with our neighbors hurting, we cannot be silent.
The recent ICE activity is why many we spoke to decided to come to the rally.
I'm just horrified at the way they're treating immigrants and people of color and grabbing people off the streets, and I think it's pretty disgusting.
One family we spoke to who chose to remain anonymous told us this is their first protest, and it's also serving as a way to instill their family values onto their daughter.
We talk with our daughter that we believe that all families should be able to stay together. There are families in our community who are being separated. They're just trying to live their lives. They have children who are going to school, they're working in jobs, contributing in important ways. And that's something that's important to us as a family.
The march continued for hours and appeared overwhelmingly peaceful.
Get him!
KGW did observe a few agitators on the corner who seemed to be trying to pick fights with the protesters. But a senior faith leader says these protests are essential.
We're not afraid. That's right. That's the one thing for sure. We're not afraid. Those who came before us and fought for us to be able to have what we have today, they were not afraid.
Right.
We recognize these are some of the things that must be done because otherwise people want us to be silent, and we absolutely refuse to be silent.
Jake Holter, KGW News.
Let's take a live look outside right now at the ICE facility in South Portland. You can see federal officers there have come and pushed the crowd away from the gate, and you can see vehicles exiting the ICE facility there and heading out for the evening. This has been typical over the last few months. Agents will come out and move protesters away from the road as vehicles come in and out of that facility. Well, Portland police said earlier this evening South Bancroft Street was blocked around the facility because of the size of the crowd. Portland police say they booked 3 people into jail tonight on charges including assault, bias crime, and harassment. Again, President Trump wants to deploy National Guard troops to Portland in part because of what he has called violent protests that have happened here. Again, the local protest just a part of more than 2,500 demonstrations organized across the country. The demonstrations even spreading beyond the states with rallies overseas. Organizers say it's about democracy versus dictatorship.
You feel you've been profiled?
Absolutely, because how I look, I'm Mexican American, first generation, but I served 30 years in the military.
ICE is in our neighborhood, literally snatching people off the street.
The Trump administration and some Republicans warned the demonstrations could be unsafe, even placing the National Guard on standby in some states, but the gatherings have remained largely peaceful. In Seattle alone, there were at least 40 different demonstrations organized. One of the largest gatherings was at the Seattle Center and brought together an estimated 90,000 people. The president's second term has been defied by immigration crackdowns and an institutional overhaul. Organizers say the No Kings movement is growing from a few thousand nationwide just months ago to what they call the largest protest in U.S. history.
If I don't fight, who will.
We're doing it with nothing but love and just showing up.
It's like every day you look in the newspaper, there's like 2 or 3 things, at least big things happening that's showing erosion of our democracy.
At the local level, county officials are taking legal action in redirecting funds to fight back against the president's budget cuts. Now, all of this as we continue to wait for several different cases to play out in their respective courts. On Friday, President Trump appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court, asking justices to allow him to deploy National Guard troops in U.S. cities. While that appeal deals with a case out of Chicago, it could have significant implications on what happens on the ground in Portland. Well, it was a scary situation near a No Kings protest that was happening this afternoon in Vancouver. Police arrested a driver on suspicion of DUI and reckless driving after Jason Miller allegedly rear-ended a car. A pedestrian was hurt trying to avoid the crash. No protesters were hit. All right, time to talk weather, and what started as a really pleasant fall day today took a turn this afternoon as rain moved into the area. Meteorologist Joe Ranieri is joining us now. And Joe, is that rain going to be sticking around heading into Sunday?
It will be heading, sticking around a good portion of tomorrow and the overnight hours. Now, when I first walked in this afternoon, we saw pretty much no rain throughout the metro area. Well, since the earlier part of this evening, we've seen over a half of an inch of rain at PDX and just about a third of an inch of rain outside our studios here in Southwest Washington, Southwest Oregon. I know where I'm at tonight. Almost 2/10 of an inch of rain along the central Oregon coast. But here's that upper level low that's going to continue to bring cooler conditions and some wet weather really between midnight and tomorrow morning right around 4 o'clock. We're going to be seeing some heavy downpours at times, but this model is showing it's moves in pretty quick and then it's out of here, at least the heaviest bands of rain by 5:30, 6 o'clock. But you just expect to see numerous showers at times tomorrow. And with those numerous showers, there could be some pockets of some thunderstorms and some hail as well. We'll start to see the winds pick up a little bit. We have a wind advisory through parts of the Columbia River Gorge heading into tomorrow morning throughout tomorrow night. That purple color, gusts anywhere near the Dalles, near Government Camp, close to 40, 50 miles an hour. But things will start to calm down a little bit heading into late tomorrow, and the early part of this work week is going to be absolutely gorgeous. I'll talk more about that in a few minutes.
All right, Joe, thank you. We'll see you then. A Portland mother says she is broken inside, living 10 years without knowing who killed her son in downtown Portland. Our Libby Dowsett spoke to the mother of Deon Matthews Jr. on this 10th anniversary of his death.
KGW has followed this story for years and talked to Deon's mother many times. But she told me in this entire decade, she's only received one real tip.
But inside, I'm broken. Inside, I deal with this pain on a daily basis.
For 10 long years, Tanya Mayo has pleaded for someone to come forward with information about her son's homicide.
And I have faith, and I have hope, and I believe, and I trust.
Police say 23-year-old Deon Anthony Matthews Jr. died from a gunshot wound in a parking lot near Dante's nightclub on Southwest 3rd and Burnside, October 18th, 2015. Deon's mom said he had just gotten out of a concert and the people he was with scattered and never even called paramedics when Deon was shot.
So no one know anything? No one seen anything? Come on now.
Mayo says the only person who has called in a tip is a man who was downtown at the time of the shooting and said he comforted Deon as he took his last breath.
But that was an ounce of hope, an ounce of faith that what I'm doing is the right thing and my voice is being heard.
Deon leaves behind 2 sons, now 12 and nearly 10. The youngest born just 2 months after his father's death.
And he always say, what would my dad been doing? What was my dad like? Or, I really wish I could have got a chance to meet my dad.
Mayo says with a Crime Stoppers reward of up to $2,500, she's hoping someone will provide a tip.
What if this was your child? What if this was your daughter or your son? Wouldn't you want answers? Wouldn't you want closure?
Libby Dowsett, KGW News.
Well, if you have information to share, you can email homicide tips at police.portlandoregon.gov or submit a tip anonymously through Crime Stoppers of Oregon. You can find the link to the Crime Stoppers website under this article on our website, kgw.com, and our KGW News app.